Phase 5 of Season of Discovery has been out for 2 weeks. That's 2 Blackwing layers with your favorite bosses from Fire Mod and Nefarian. And that's 4 potential chances at my ZG Tiger that just never seems like it's gonna drop. And it's 14 days of PvP grinding like a madman to try to hit rank 13. So with all the new content, we've gotta ask the ultimate question. Is Phase 5 everything that we hoped it would be? Let's start with the core gameplay, the Endgame. How does it feel to have a level 60 character and upgrade it? First, we've got a new raid in Silithus where we get to kill Thunderan. Not only does this boss fit really well into the weekly raid loop, but you're also getting all sorts of gear that really fills in holes. For example, I get the Skywall Solace weapon. It is really fantastic, and it also fills in a much-needed hole on my priest. That is a really good part about Phase 5, new epic weapons for every single class, and we also get new epic quest lines as well to go with those weapons. That is exactly the kind of Classic Plus content I think we were all hoping for when SoD was announced in the first place. Another really good idea that they did in Phase 5 was the Core Forged gear. Core Forged allows you to mix and match your Tier 2 stats with a Tier 1 set bonus, for example. It's really giving you this extra level of customization in all your gear. It's exactly what I love about Classic. It sets it apart from games like Retail. But there are big problems as well. The core progression loop has significant flaws. First, the affixes. You pick and choose affixes, and these affixes affect every aspect of the raid. And at the end of the raid, you get bonus chests as a reward for picking those affixes. You might pick the green affix, and then you get random slime pools that have to be run out of the raid. Or you pick the blue affix, and you have to group up to soak this really big arcane explosion. It is really similar to the rotating Mythic Plus system in Retail, especially because one of the affixes each week is going to rotate to maximize your loot. On paper, it is a nice, cheap way to extend the lifespan of BWL. The idea of constantly getting a slightly different BWL that we can look forward to, and the raid doesn't get stale as quickly. But when I say cheap, I mean Blizzard didn't have to rework the entire raid like they did with Sunken Temple, for example. Or at level 25, we had BFD. They put a ton of work and effort into it. The thing is, after all the work and effort they put in previous phases, it feels like a letdown to get the same raid even with the new affix system. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments on what you think about the affix system. Was it the best way to approach Phase 5? The other major progression issue is that the game really doesn't feel like it's respecting your time. Most of us, we just don't have every piece we need for Molten Core, but you can bet we're not only going to be running Blackwing Lair, ZG, Thunderan, but we're also going back to Molten Core 2. The Core Forge system especially feels like it doesn't respect your time, because you've got to go back and get multiple pieces of Tier 2, multiple pieces of Tier 1 just to run different specs and builds. But there is a really big, egregious time waster that is far more significant, which is the ZG reputation. We are likely getting a 2-month phase, and ZG was often a 4-month phase. The fact that the rep is being given out at the exact same rate just doesn't make sense. In order to unlock our Bis Zanza potions, our Bis shoulder enchants, we're going to be hitting ZG lockouts long after we don't even need gear anymore. It's great if you want to go back and get a ZG Tiger, for example, something I have never gotten myself. If you've gotten one, let me know in the comments. But let's say you want to make an alt. Let's say you want to play New World when it comes out. It doesn't feel like the game is fully respecting our time. So we skipped ahead to the endgame, but let's go back for a second to the new player experience, the leveling, the stuff before the endgame. First, the real good stuff. Okay, Phase 5 has given us so many new specs, so many fun specs that I really want to level. I watch red streamers like Arcavian, they're one-shotting on their broken red paladins. I watch Devils with his YouTube highlights, he's destroying on Boomkin. Or I watch the clip of Sony and he's 1v3ing. It is a great sign that so many specs look awesome. So many specs are enticing me to level. Also good is that some of the most annoying runes are now much more easy to get. Account-wide essentially, being able to buy an item like the Dark Rider rune from Pix and Booty Bay. Or any of your maxed out alts can enter on Nixia just mailing your attunement necklace around. That is a really smart change. It is very alt-friendly. Exactly the kind of stuff I want to see in Classic Plus. And one more good piece of news for leveling is that 50 to 60 now has that 150% experience boost, so significantly improving the most agonizing part of leveling. Meanwhile, you can even level from 53 to 60 just doing the Blackrock event. You're banking a ton of gold, a ton of experience at the same time. It is really excellent. Comment below if you want to see an updated leveling guide 1 to 60 in less than 2 days. Let me know. So on the bad side of leveling, on the bad side of alts, we have the fact that 150%, it just isn't enough of an XP boost. For me, I wanted to get a level 20 Warlock, obviously so I could trap a bunch of gnomes in a chimney and leave them there. The problem is, it took me nearly 8 hours to level to 20. Way too slow, considering that the endgame is such a hype part of SoD. If Blizzard really wants to have a player spike in SoD, they've gotta increase the XP to at least something like 300%. Then there is the rune problem, and despite all the viable runes from picks, you still gotta go and get all the runes for your alts. There are really two obvious solutions here. Either make all the runes buyable, so they're essentially like glyphs in Wrath of the Lich King, or you could allow your main to be able to collect runes and then mail it to your alts. This is already sort of a mechanic they've added with the new ring runes that are technically bind on account, and you can mail those to your alts, so I really think that would be a smart change. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Do you think it would be better to have 300% XP boost, or do you think it would be better to just get all the runes at level 1? So now we are brought to the most controversial section of all right now, which is player versus player. PvP in the year of 2024, it is still an excuse to queue up for Battlegrounds. It's an excuse to World PvP, and as a classic lover, that is still a huge win. But then we have the problems, and really it all comes down to the fact that Ultrak Valley should not be the meta for ranking at this point. It's too boring, everybody's just running past each other, there's nothing happening in the games. That is not the optimal way to have classic PvP. As of this week, Blizzard did add some additional marks based on points for even the losing teams too, but right now the ABQs are still up to 15 minutes each. We're going to have to wait and see if the changes really make a big impact. We've also got the age-old pre-made problem that is really rearing its head right now. So let's say I want to escape AV, so I queue up for AB, and ignoring the part where Alliance probably farms us with a pre-made in the graveyard. Let's say instead I want to queue up with some friends, so if anybody leaves the queue time immediately resets. That is just insane in 2024. And we're not even mentioning the big balancing issues either. Warriors are 3-shotting people, red paladins, they're 1-shotting my priest. Everybody's got their full toolkits, and really PvP is very, very far from balanced. Hopefully Phase 6 adds some tuning to at least tone down the chaos a little bit. So I would really say the endgame, the leveling, the PvP, they're very rewarding in Phase 5. If you put in the time, you'll get the gear and you will have a lot of fun. But the phase has progression problems, the leveling's just too slow, and the PvP has a lot of controversial aspects. I'm gonna leave it to you guys though. Do you think Phase 5 has been more good or more bad? Let me know in the comments. And also smash that like button and subscribe to save Classic Plus together. Then check out my huge Phase 5 gold making video to get rich.